I am grateful to the Deputy General Secretary Rosemary DiCarlo for the briefing on the situation in the Middle East. The representatives of civil society have carefully listened to the assessments. We welcome the participation in today's briefing of a number of delegations at the ministerial level. We congratulate all Muslims with the beginning of a holy month of Ramadan for them. Mr. Chairman, the next meeting of the Security Council on the situation in the Middle East is taking place in the context of extremely dangerous circumstances, which have once again been caused by the illegal decisions of the Israeli leadership to use the occupied Palestinian territory. Over the past 10 days, a number of members of the Israeli military and political cabinet have announced the adoption of measures to reconsider the legal status and modality of control over the zones A and B of the Western Bank, as well as to launch the registration process of land in the Zone C as a state territory available for the Israeli occupation. All this is an undisclosed attempt to legalize the expansion of settlements in the OPT, the confiscation of land, the destruction of Palestinian property, the usurpation of water resources, as well as the establishment of control over some religious shrines in Hebron and Bethlehem. In other words, it is the intention of Western Jerusalem to untie its hands in order to irrevocably change the status quo in the Zone C, including by securing a gradual expansion and expelling the local population. The text of the mentioned decisions has not yet been published, and the media cite unnamed sources of the Israeli government, claiming that the aim is to resolve disputes over the ownership of the land in the Zone C and develop infrastructure there. However, the true intent of the slogans camouflaged under these slogans is to finally cross out the well-known international legal basis of the Zone C with its key elements in the form of a two-state forum. In this context, a provocative statement by the Minister of Finance of Israel, Bezalel Smotrich, is indicative of the intention to continue the settler revolution and root out the very idea of a Palestinian state. Based on the fact that the mentioned free package of administrative measures, in the event of its implementation, will mean a direct violation of the Oslo II Agreement from 1995, including the Hebron Protocol from 1997 and the 1998 Memorandum of Understanding. All these documents were signed by the acting prime ministers of Israel at that time, including the current head of the government, Benjamin Netanyahu, ratified by Knesset and distributed by the Israelis and Palestinians as official documents. Mr. Chairman, unfortunately and alarmingly, we note that Israel, under various pretexts, be it to ensure security or fight terrorism, continues to violate its contractual obligations, requirements to the occupying power, as well as the provisions of the General Assembly's profile decisions of the Security Council, including the resolution of the Council of 23-34 and the New York Declaration in support of the two-state solution approved by the General Assembly. Such ignoring of international law and the policy of creating irreversible facts on earth cause outrage and discontent among the majority of members of the international community. The Russian Federation, like many of those present in the Security Council, unconditionally condemns the attempts of Western Jerusalem to spread Israeli jurisdiction and the control mechanism of the Nazbrai, including Eastern Jerusalem. We share the appeal voiced by the General Secretary to the Israeli leadership to reconsider its course and to abandon the future world, undermining the prospects of a two-state solution. It is a pity that he did not have the courage to condemn these decisions. We are ready to support any possible ideas of our Middle Eastern and regional partners, including the withdrawal of a single position from the Security Council of the UN General Assembly on this account. We are convinced that it is time for the Israeli authorities to realize the irreversibility of the peaceful settlement of the conflict, and to listen to the voices of those who sincerely wish for the restoration of the real world and prosperity in the Middle East. Mr. Speaker, considering the dangerous trends on the western coast, including eastern Jerusalem, in conjunction with the equally alarming situation in another integral part of the future Palestinian state, the gas sector, in particular, the absence of significant progress in the implementation of the Security Council Resolution 2803 in support of President Trump's peace plan on gas. Undoubtedly, the ceasefire in Gaza, the release of all Israeli hostages, and a part of the Palestinian prisoners has become an important and long-awaited event. We cannot underestimate the significance of the stoppage of the monstrous bloodshed in Ankara. However, judging by the incoming information, the massive death toll of Palestinians in Gaza continues. Since October 10th, more than 600 people have been victims of Israeli strikes. As a result, the UN's regular reports maintain the problems with the delivery of humanitarian aid to Ankara, including Israeli refusals or delays in the passage of the humanitarian convoy. Meanwhile, thousands of Palestinians are still being held in Israeli prisons, in addition to the existing restrictions on the access of international humanitarian aid, and the plans to implement a death penalty are being postponed. We hope that the senseless calls for de-escalation, both in Gaza and in Nazbir, will be voiced in one form or another during the series of events planned for tomorrow in Washington by the World Council, one of the participants of which was recently Israel. We are still waiting for information from our American colleagues on the parameters of the future presence of the international stabilization forces in Gaza. 3 months after the adoption of Resolution 2803, we, along with other colleagues on the Council, do not have any specifics on this matter. In turn, we would like to confirm once again that Russia, as a permanent member of the UN Security Council, will continue to firmly uphold the principles of fair regulation of the Palestinian-Israeli conflict in accordance with the UN Security Council resolution, on the basis of the two-state formula approved by international decisions. We are moving away from the need to activate international efforts to restore the political horizon in the matter of solving the Palestinian problem. The result of such collective steps should be the establishment of a sovereign state of Palestine at the border of 1967 with the capital of East Jerusalem and the existing peace and security with Israel.